Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Yes, the Knicks Film School Podcast. That is the podcast about the one team in New York sports that things seem to be going well for at the moment. Today's episode, we're going to talk to John Schmilk. John obviously has been a frequent guest on this pod. I don't think he's been on since before last season, unless I'm mistaken. I'm sure Andrew will correct me. But he's been on a bunch and he's great. He used to have a Knicks podcast of his own, but now focuses exclusively on another team here in New York, the New York Football Giants. We will talk to him a little bit about that, in addition to some Knicks talk, obviously. The Giants not doing so hot after 1 week. They lost by many points, and they scored very few points. In fact, I think they scored the fewest amount of points that you are able to score in a professional game of any kind, at least not professional games that I'm aware of. I will have to ask him if, or maybe anyone out there who knows if there are such sports that allow you to go into the red for particularly poor performance. Speaking of in the red, if there is one fan base, I mean, look, this is like a Joe Beningo conversation. I think there are several teams, including the one that we podcast about here at Knicks Film School, that have an argument for existing perpetually in the red, in the blood red, as it were, over the majority of their history. But there is something special about the team that they used to practice at Hofstra, and then they don't do that anymore. I don't even know where they practice now. But, you know, a lot of hype, a lot of excitement, and hey, they're 1-0. So that's great. That's fun, right? That's awesome. But I feel like maybe that is not the lead story this week. And so to give you some full, unbiased, completely devoid of emotion analysis. Oh, Jesus Christ. Andrew Claudio, GMAC, or the man that used to be known as GMAC. I think I know this song. So Andrew Claudio.
Thank you, boys to men.
Andrew, I am a bit afraid to ask, but I will ask anyway because I'm your friend and I love you and I care about you. How you doing?
Hey there, Jets fans. How you doing? Can I answer that question with a question?
You absolutely can.
Why? Just why do we care? Why do we watch sports? Why do we enjoy sports? Why do we invest any emotion into any of this? Like Aaron Rodgers doesn't know me. He's kind of a weirdo, and I know a lot of people are getting their jokes off at his expense, and it's fair game. I know there's a lot of people that hate the Jets and, you know, Woody Johnson and a lot of the hype that the Jets got. But then there's this fan base that has not made the playoffs since 2011, the longest drought in professional sports, has not seen a legitimate franchise quarterback. Respect to Chad Pennington and kind of Mark Sanchez. They haven't seen a franchise quarterback since Joe Namath.
Ken O'Brien, no, not
Ken O'Brien, but that's it. It's could have had Dan Marino. No, we got Ken O'Brien. He was fine. Just he wasn't Dan Marino. No. You know, Namath sold his soul to pull off a big upset in Super Bowl III, and they've been paying for it ever since. You know, I was at MetLife Stadium last night, as many people know, and I got there early to tailgate, and it really felt like a festival atmosphere, like we were getting ready for the greatest concert ever. And against my better judgment throughout this entire time, I hinted at it with you and CP and with Alex that I'm trying to be reserved about this. But a lot of football people I trust are saying this team is good. A lot of pundits are saying this team can win a Super Bowl. A lot of Jets. yes, were good enough to win a Super Bowl. I'm not there yet. But ouch.
Correct.
Yes, but a lot of people that I trusted were leading me to get excited. And then I tuned in for Hard Knocks. And then it was every smart Jets fan that I talked to that's like, I know that we have this, as you well know, PTSD because of what this franchise has put us through. But this is legit. This team is legitimate. And then you get this quarterback at a bargain, in my opinion, a bargain, where it's moving back 2 spots in the draft, and then it's a conditional second round pick that becomes a first if he plays 65% of his snaps, which he won't now, by the way.
So wait, I want to stay on that for a second because this is the NFL. You could get a guy who just won 2 MVPs a few years ago for, as you just said, a conditional second round pick. It doesn't work that way in the NBA. The Knicks trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo tomorrow. They're giving up their entire draft. And if Giannis Antetokounmpo suffers a massive, career-threatening leg injury, a little bit of different situation because he's younger, but still, there's a lot more buyer's remorse. Like, oh my God, we spent all of our assets and now we have nothing to show for it. Doesn't it make it at least a little bit easier? Because it's like, you didn't give up much. So it's like no harm, no foul.
See, here's the problem. You'd think that it's like, because the cost wasn't that much, that you didn't take too many steps back. But here's the problem. All of the delusion that people were saying Jets fans had, and all of the hype that people had for the Jets and what you saw in Hard Knocks and all the projections that people made, it showed true. Like, if you're making fun of a Jets fan today because they were excited about this team, we were right. Did you see that team last night? Their running game looked outstanding, even though you knew they were running the ball. They have a stud at wide receiver in Garrett Wilson that would be in the conversation with Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson if he had a quarterback throwing to him more consistently and more accurately. Their defense is Super Bowl good. They made Josh Allen look like Mark Sanchez last night. And I say that respectfully, okay? Because Mark Sanchez did some winning here with the Jets. 4 turnovers, 5 sacks. He was on the run all night. They made him, a guy who I think is elite, look so human last night. And then they find this weapon in special teams that runs back the punt return in overtime to win the game. So they're better than we expected. And it's exactly what we saw last year, but now it's even worse because we're just a quarterback away. And we're 4 snaps into this season on this, my goodness, this MetLife turf. Replace it with grass, please. MetLife people. I'm sorry. It's getting annoying that you keep losing these stars to this turf, but I digress. All the hype was justified. Everything we thought about this team was correct. I thought this was Super Bowl good. And here's why there is harm to the foul, John.
Yes.
That's gone. Like, you're right to say past tense were. Like, there's no Super Bowl in the future unless something. John, there's no. Jack Wilson's not leading this team to a Super Bowl. Like, the move of the century is going to have to happen, or the upgrade or the development of the century is going to have to happen. But the framing of this season now changes because we went for 2 hours in that festival atmosphere I was talking about, people chanting those 4 letters, because apparently as Jets fans, we only know how to spell 4-letter words. Okay. All the way up to the upper deck where I was sitting, to the pandemonium in the pregame intros. And this is like, and I know I'm monologuing a bit, but I've had this.
Okay, get it all out.
Like, the spirit of the pregame intro and a lot of the Jets marketing material over the last month has been, and like, I follow this a lot in life too. Like, you went through that so you could experience this. Like, you've gone through like the butt fumble and like being dominated by the Patriots and Victor Cruz 99 yards and week 17 against the Bills in 2015 and Adam Gase and Sam Darnold and last season of Zach Wilson. You went through all of that so you could enjoy this. And this feeling lasted 4 snaps. So his career may start and end as a New York Jet, because I have no clue what a 39-year-old quarterback is going to be able to do off of torn Achilles. It may start and end 0 for 1, no yards.
So that comp the way you just phrased it, right? We went through that to get to this because I'm trying to sit here trying to think of Knicks comps. And like, it does bring to mind a little bit of the Kevin Durant torn Achilles, because there is a subset of Knicks fans, I think, who believe he was coming here had it not been for that torn Achilles. And because he tore the Achilles, he decided for whatever reason that he wasn't going to come to the Knicks and instead go to Brooklyn. I personally don't subscribe to that, so I don't think it's a perfect analogy. But it's just the fact that the Knicks have been, a 17-win team the year before that. I think the only comp, and obviously this has not happened, and I'm almost certain will never happen, would be like if LeBron James came here for the final year of his career to the Knicks, and within the first week of his career as a Knick, he blew out his knee or something, and then that was that. And like similar to Rodgers, I imagine if the Knicks would either sign LeBron outright, or they wouldn't have to give up very much in a trade for him, because the Lakers I imagine would be happy to accommodate. That to me is the only comp, because I don't think there's ever been anything like this in Knicks history.
Can I add some salt to that wound? What if LeBron came here and you kept RJ, and this entire season was marketed as like, RJ Barrett, who struggled at times throughout his first 3 years, but shown signs. The best thing for his career is playing behind LeBron James for a year. And wait till he gets to the other side of a year behind one of the greatest ever. And, LeBron has a Gordon Hayward injury in the first quarter of opening night. And then out comes RJ Barrett. Now, I will give RJ Barrett credit, has had significantly more success in his career than Zach Wilson. So
I was about to say, I'm hard on RJ Barrett, but
yeah,
he's better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and like, you want to talk about? So I had two Knicks comps that I don't even think they're good, but it's the Ewing injury in '99, because it was like you lose your captain in the conference finals, but like you at least got to the conference finals.
You got there, yeah.
The Porzingis injury, because of how final that became. But we didn't know it at the time.
Different because he was so young, and that was like, well, it was similar in this sense. It was like you lost something before it ever really started, because he had been an all-star earlier that year, and like he had arrived, right? And then almost as soon as he arrived, he got taken away. Yeah, that's what. It's not in spirit, even though one guy is 39 and the other guy was 21, I think. Was he 21? In spirit, they're actually not dissimilar. They really aren't. Because the Knicks had been through a lot of bad, and then they got Porzingis, and then for a few years it was like, don't worry, everybody, we got Porzingis. It's okay. Like this summer, it was like, we got Rodgers. It's gonna be okay. But here's the other thing. As you just said, there's so much else to be happy about and excited about for the rest of the team. It's the NFL. You need the quarterback, and
it's the most important thing that you still need. And look, if I could the only New York comp that I could think of as far as has anything like this ever happened before, you know when it's happened before, John?
When?
Can I give you a history lesson?
Sure.
So 1998, the New York Jets trade for a quarterback named Vinny Testaverde. Jets go 12-4. They're the 2 seed in the AFC. They host a playoff game, and they play the Denver Broncos. John Elway, Terrell Davis, all these Hall of Famers, Shannon Sharp, on a 14-2 team that started 13-0. They go to Denver for the championship game. They're up 10-0 in the second half. Broncos score 23 unanswered, en route to their second straight Super Bowl. John Elway retires at the end of the year. Terrell Davis retires at the end of the year. Shannon Sharp gets traded to Baltimore. The Jets go into 1999 with their exact same roster and everybody, the exact same type of hype. This is the Jets' year. It was billed as our year. Second quarter of week 1, Vinny Testaverde fumbles the ball, dives for it, tears his Achilles on the Giant Stadium turf. And it's Ray Lucas and Tom Tupa for the rest of the season. Jets go 8-8. Vinny's never the same. They haven't had that type of hype until this year. And if I can just tempting the football gods, who did the coin toss last night at MetLife Stadium?
Oh,
Vinny Testaverde. They brought him back, and then 4 snaps by the Jets later, the exact same injury to an exact similar situation, in that we had a ton of hype around this team, and now it's gone.
At least it didn't happen in the World Baseball Classic.
So that's the thing I was going to ask you. is the fact that Edwin Diaz getting hurt before the season and Aaron Rodgers getting hurt like this early in the season, so like the hope can die now. Is that a better scenario than like they're good, he's good, they go 13-4, win 2 playoff games, they get to the Super Bowl, and then 4 snaps into the Super Bowl this happens? Is it better that the hope is extinguished now?
I'd rather have the 13-4 and the two playoff wins. All I can think of right now is things usually come in threes in life, and I really hope that rule gets broken because
So here's where I'll give you solace. Here's where I will give you solace. Okay. The Yankees have a young stud named Jason.
I know that. No, I know that.
There's your third. As far as the New York thing is concerned, Edwin Diaz goes down, Jason Dominguez goes down, Aaron Rodgers goes down.
Yeah, I know.
So we've got it all out the way. As far as my teams are concerned, I'm not even a Knicks fan anymore. Basketball gods, like, don't touch any of my players. You're just wasting your time.
You heard him.
You know?
All right. Well, this was cathartic. And I'm not even a Jets fan, but it felt cathartic.
Would you say that this was like a personal injury report? Like, is it possible that if Aaron Rodgers wanted to, he could go to the fine folks at Weiss and Rosenblum?
I gotta tell you, Aaron Rodgers should go to the fine folks at Weiss and Rosenblum.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Barry Weiss. Hope everybody enjoyed the pod with him last week. But yes, this is the return, the unofficial return of the personal injury report. If you have a personal injury matter, like Aaron Rodgers did on the field of MetLife Stadium on Monday night, give a call to our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum, 212-366-6100, or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. No case is too big or too small. Of course, this would be a bigger case. I think that to me, we have the Knicks suing the Raptors. I think the only way to one up that would be for Aaron Rodgers to sue
MetLife.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Weiss and Rosenblum would represent him for that. So yes, personal injury report. We hope that this is the last personal injury report for some time of this level of severity, but had to do it.